right, everyone. Today we're going to look at 6 rules for determining validity when it comes to categorical syllogisms. Before we do, let's talk about the 4 different types of categorical propositions. Type number 1, universal affirmative. All X are Y. All politicians are liars. Type number 2 is the universal negative. No X are Y. No politicians are liars. Type number 3, particular affirmative, some X are Y, some politicians are liars. And type number 4, particular negative, some X are not Y, some politicians are not liars. Those are your 4 types of categorical propositions, and categorical syllogisms will use one or more of these types, right? All right, so these are the rules. This is only for categorical syllogisms. So this is only for syllogisms that are using the types of premises that we just talked about. They all fall into those categories. We're not talking about hypotheticals. We're not talking about disjunctive syllogisms, only categorical syllogisms. Rule number 1, a valid categorical syllogism must contain exactly 3 terms, 3 variables, A, B, and C, each of which is used in the same sense throughout the argument. So no equivocation. You can't use it in one sense in the opening and another sense in the conclusion. Okay, that's rule number 1. If it passes that test, we move on to rule number 2. If it does not pass rule number 1, we throw it out. It's invalid. It's no good. It doesn't work. Rule number 2, the middle term must be distributed. Or what that means is the middle term must refer to all members of the class in at least one premise. So what is the middle term? The middle term is the term that is present in both premises but absent in the conclusion. Remember our examples from our deductive reasoning lecture. All A are B, all B are C, therefore all A are C. What would the middle term be? B would be the middle term, right? Because it is present in both premises, it's absent in the conclusion. Does it pass this test? All A are B, all B are C. So we're talking about all B in that second premise. It passes this test. It has been distributed. That's what we call the distribution of the middle term. If it passes test 2, we move on to test 3. If either term is distributed in the conclusion, then it must be distributed in the premises. Let's look at our classic example again. All A are B, all B are C, therefore all A are C. So A is distributed in the conclusion. Is it distributed in the premises? We look back and we see, yes, all A are B. It's been distributed both in the conclusion and in the premise. Okay, so that passes test 3. Let's move on to test 4. No categorical syllogism is valid which has 2 negative premises. So we cannot say no A are B, no B are C. Therefore, anything we conclude if it has 2 negatives is incorrect. So just remember that 2 wrongs never make a right. So no categorical syllogism is valid which has 2 negative premises. All right, passes that test, move on to rule number 5. If either premise is negative, then the conclusion must be negative. So if it has 1 negative premise, the conclusion must be negative. If it has 1 negative premise and a positive or affirmative conclusion, invalid, throw it out. But if it passes test number 5, we move on to test number 6, the last and final test for our categorical syllogisms. No categorical syllogism with a particular conclusion, some X's are Y's, can have 2 universal premises, all X's are Y. So if it says all A are B, all B are C, therefore some A are C, invalid form. Okay, so I hope these 6 rules help you. Now take a look at your list of categorical syllogisms and try to identify whether they are valid or invalid. If you find them to be invalid, please note which of these 6 rules they don't follow. Which of these 6 tests do they not pass? All right, good luck and come see me if you have any questions.